What are memories? Memories are reconstructed incidents in time and space with added emotions. We add the height. How much energy did an incident require in your life? The weight. How important was the incident in your life? And the length. How long did the experience last for you? We created each one of those memories, and that's easy to grasp. However, what is a little more difficult to grasp is that we use the same creation process to create the future, which we then eventually experience as memories. Once you understand this, imagine how much rosier your future will be. In my view, everything is energy. Where energy lines cross, a time-space anchor consisting of knowledge, wisdom, and experiences is stored all around your physical body. There are many of these time-space anchors. Imagine one for each memory you can recall, and one for each dream of the future that you have or are creating. Where these memory lines cross, or where there are humps in the time-space continuum, information is stored. When I do a psychic reading, I go into the most relevant of these personal libraries based on your consciousness, and I tell you what is there. Because each hump in the time-space continuum is known to you, at some level you guide me to what you want to know about. These spaces where your energy is stored contain personal information about your past, present, and potential future. The spaces also contain universal truths that you have gained from your experiences and stored for use. Sometimes you are aware of what is in the space that I explore with you, but you don't want to hear what is there. I did a reading for a client once where I told her that she was boarding a plane with her passport and a briefcase, and she had a one-way ticket and a huge smile. She didn't want to hear that. Instead, she asked me whether it was part of her future to move to another country and find a well-paid job. What did she want to hear? In such a case, I simply repeat the message of what I found in the client's face. I'm the messenger, not the judge. In another instance, I told the client that her fiancé would go through a rough patch because of a woman close to him. I advised her to keep her distance. It was clear to me that he was not cheating, and the client speculated about his mother and his daughter. It turned out that the focus in the experience was on him and his actions. But it involved the relationship, and she was the woman who had the experience with him. She nearly broke off the engagement before he turned the corner. But the outcome was for the better for both. This is an example of a case where we don't need to know everything about the future. We cannot get total clarity about the future because it is still in the making, and we can't gain wisdom without going through the experience. Physical distance is irrelevant. I have over the years learned that when I do these psychic readings, physical distance between me and my client is not important. I regularly advise business clients on current issues and future plans. I can do this because the way a client earns a living, whether it's with a job or a business, is part of their past, present, and future experiences and part of their aura. One of my long-standing clients is an estate agent in the north of England. At the time, I was living in the south of England and had never met him in person. He had a problem with water which was causing structural damage to a property he wanted to sell. He didn't know where to start digging next because past attempts had been elusive. I told him the reason why I was struggling to control damp in the property was that there was a cracked water pipe under the sidewalk near the house. I described to him where the cracked pipe was by using a railway line nearby as a beacon. Until that day, he had never noticed the railway line which was disused. He called me a week later to confirm that they had found the crack and that there were clear indications that the water pipe was the cause of his woes. The water pipe was in fact running underneath the house in the most unlikely place, which is why there was no logic in the information I gave him. In another instance, there was an electrical wiring issue and an intricate pattern inside a building in South Africa. My client, who is an electrician, was working on an industrial project. He knew there was a fault, But his testing equipment didn't leave him any the wiser on where to look for the fault. He found and repaired the fault near a corner of the installation, as I had described. And he only focused on the color of the wiring that I described to him. The client was in South Africa and I was in the UK. I had a client in New Zealand who had items disappearing from his premises. Even after he had improved his security, the incidents didn't stop. He was suspicious of his staff, but I told him to investigate one of the border lines of his property. It turned out that the thief was the owner of the business next door, who was surreptitiously setting up a competitive business.